It is your Wednesday night sports delight, the platform sports talk show. I am your boy Smooth, and thank you all for tuning in right now. I definitely appreciate you, whether you on Facebook, if you on Twitter, if you on YouTube. Thank y'all very much. And for those listening on Hot 365 Radio right now, we sounding good, crystal clear, HD. Thank y'all for tuning in for another edition, once again, of your Wednesday night sports delight. This evening, we have another incredible show. We have a legend that's going to be joining us this evening. If you ain't seen the promos, I got this background up again for a reason. So definitely stay tuned to see why. But before I continue on, let's go ahead and bring in my co-host. When I bring her on, it brings me memories of that little period of time where it was just me and her for a good little stretch, whether it was in person or, of course, doing what we're doing now with the virtual meetings and everything. And we haven't did a show together, just me and her, for a long time. So I look forward to tonight's show. And y'all know her as the host of Ladies Night goes down in 2 weeks. And good evening to our favorite fan of the platform sports talk show, Miss Williams. But now let's go ahead and bring in my co-host. Y'all know her as Bunny. Bunny, what's happening?
Hey, happy hump day.
Happy hump day. What's going on with you?
I'm trying not to melt in these streets, man. I'm trying not to.
Hey, I definitely feel you. Like I said last week, that chocolate make you melt, boy.
Yeah, here you go.
Yes, it's another hot one here in the Midwest, but we too cool, so we're gonna make sure we stay right and everything. I see you got your hands full over at the house this evening.
Never ending story because this one is busy. She has to grab everything. Tell everybody hi. Hold on. Come on. Say hi so we can get to our topic we want to talk about. Say hi.
There she go. What up, Sanaa? What's up? Yeah, so for those listening on Hot 365 Radio, if y'all hear some youngins in the background, more likely it's gonna be our other star of the show, Bunny's daughter, Sanaa. Speaking of which, as I brought up earlier, you can listen to us right now, Hot 365 Radio, where we always hot. They have the app. You can go on Google. You can go on Android, your Play Store, or also on Apple. Just put in Hot 365 and you'll see their logo. You can download us and download the app, and listen to us right now. Or go to their website, hot365radio.com. Every first Wednesday of the month is Ladies Night. And every last Wednesday, which means next week, it's the Man Cave. And it'll be the debut of the blackest man on radio, Craig Black. He'll be making his debut with the fellas. I look forward to seeing that. And hope y'all look forward to it as well. And of course, what you listen to right now, what you're watching, the Platform Sports Talk Show will be uploaded on Roku right after the show is over. You can watch us right now on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Subscribe, Bunny. Click on that
imaginary bell.
Because anytime we go live,
you back in that corner, and you too will be notified.
You, your mama, and your cousin too. There we go. So enough of all the fun stuff. Leave them comments and questions throughout the whole show, y'all. Get them shares going like crazy, because once again, we have a legendary show in our midst. But let's get right into it. Bunny, on a sad note, these last few days we've had some crazy news with some untimely deaths. And now when I show this screen, the person on the left is okay, but definitely needs prayers up. And we haven't talked about this enough, so we're going to go ahead and bring it up. But
okay,
on the right-hand side, we'll start off first. Definitely going to give our condolences to the family of Jalen Ferguson, football player from the Baltimore Ravens. He passed away, I believe, this morning. And then I think yesterday it was Caleb Swanigan. He was an NBA player. He went to Purdue. He passed away yesterday. And then the
Mhm.
reason why I have Brittany Griner up right now is because she's right now still, it's been like over 100 and some days, still detained out there
Mhm.
in Russia, I believe. And she's supposed to have a phone call with her wife. That didn't happen. Things didn't fall
Mhm.
through. So it's been too long that she's been out there, y'all, and we don't want her to be in the gray area like these other two young men are. So hopefully we can find a way. They could find a way to bring her back home safe and sound. So prayers up
Mhm.
to her, and once again also to the families of Caleb Swanigan and to Jalen Ferguson. On a good tip, which is pretty nice by the WNBA, they announced today, while they announced the other WNBA All Stars, that Brittany Griner has been named an honorary All Star.
Good.
So, pretty great gesture by the WNBA. Main thing is we still want to bring her home. Once again,
Mhm.
condolences to Caleb Swanigan and Jalen Ferguson. Before I go to the next slide, your thoughts on the untimely deaths of these two young men?
Crazy. When I saw the news article, I'm like, they in their early 20s,
Right.
and I'm like, whoa. It was another player, but his untimely death was caught up in. He was at Houston Baptist, I want to say,
Oh yeah,
and
I
he
did hear
he
about
got
that.
killed in New York over Juneteenth weekend.
Right. Right.
So that's another one. So again, he's in his early 20s and an athlete, star of their team, and here we go. So I'm just so sorry. Young black men untimely deaths is, we know it's part of life, but at the same time, you just don't expect it when somebody be that young. And when you hear athletes, we always think they're in the best shapes of the world, best access to healthcare and things. So yeah, I'm sorry about their families have to grieve with the loss. And if we're going Brittany, I am glad that honorary WNBA player. I mean, they give an honorary All Star
Also,
status, but I said this months ago. She's been there since February. It's still
right.
wintertime after this war started with Ukraine and Russia, and I'm like, yo, that she had to be. She's already an All Star anyway, but she's almost the face of that league. And y'all,
Right.
meaning, I know you're just saying that there's a business for the WNBA/NBA, but they still have a lot of powerful ways and money, and they know people. You have Russian players that play in the NBA. I know this is almost like it's a political war thing going on, but it's like, come on now. Because if there was a regular NBA player that was an All Star and the face of the league, I think this is already being settled by now. That's my 2 cents. But come on with it. Get what needs to be done. Get her over here, because this is not the time to be making an example of somebody. I'm saying.
Correct. And then we just found this out within the last maybe what 2-3 hours or so. But Tony Saragusa, they call him the Goose. He
Mm-hmm.
played 12 years in the NBA with the Ravens and the
NFL.
Colts, and then he spent some time on Fox NFL doing sideline reporting. It was pretty cool what he was doing at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But he passed away today. So this another huge loss, and once again he played for the Ravens. So just think about the Ravens family right now dealing with two guys who passed away, who was part of the organization today. So definitely a dark day for Ravens Nation and for the families. Once again of Caleb Swanigan, Jalen Ferguson, and Tony Saragusa. I was like, man, are you serious that this he passed away? Like, what's going
Just keep
on out here,
right. It just keep coming and coming. It's like, what is going on here?
man?
Here we are. We think we have problems with general stuff. He's like, shoot, I'm happy to be alive and
Man.
COVID free, because that's going back around again, hitting my family. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And then I believe Tony Saragusa had an interview a while back saying that his father died at a young age of, like, I want to say around 40 some years old, like died in his arms. So for now, Tony Saragusa to pass away at a young age, like around 55 years old or something like that. So, just tough times right now, but definitely once again, prayers up to the families right now. And once again, let's bring Brittany Griner back home. Now, let's get to our normal beginnings. And you now have my attention. What stories has your attention, Bunny? What you got?
Your boy, we talked about him. Was it last week, right? Or week before? Your boy, Deshaun.
Yep.
Now we got 20 out of 24 women settling. I think the other four is it still pending? Is that why those are still out there? If I'm not
Right.
mistaken.
That's correct.
And now it's like, what is I mean, NFL? What are they going to do? So here we go. And then let's spin off. Still talking about your NFL with the whole Washington Commanders and their owner Dan Snyder in trouble as well. It's two football stories here because again, it's dealing with not sexual assault like Watson, but it's still the atmosphere in the organization, how it was run. It was like the Washington Commanders, specifically their owner, was covering up, and somebody had a lawsuit against him, and she settled. Now it's saying that she was lying. Just I don't understand it. I'm sorry, y'all. It just seems to me like they have my attention dealing with. We know women unfortunately getting assaulted, or women when they're in presence of a powerful or sometimes even a dominant man, whether it's a business meeting, leisure, whatever. It's not a lot often the percentage for women, particularly dealing with sports and athletes. It's not publicly said, so I don't want to just throw something out there like out of the blue. It could be something simple as a flirt, and some women may take it wrong, and it could be more than that. I just know we have two stories out right now in the NFL, which is bad publicity on them, and we know
Right.
their track record of trying to fix or trying to be the police when they hear stories about their players or owner doing something out of pocket. But this is just outrageous to me. I know we talked about Bill Cosby had his own issues. Ma'am, this is not food. Don't laugh. I know we had talked about Bill Cosby has so many women from years ago that's coming out now, but Deshaun stuff is recent and all them women. And now you're talking about the Commanders owners, Dan Snyder, known for not talking or dealing with women appropriately. Like, what the hell is going on here? That has my attention. I'm like, okay, this is nothing new, but at the same time, y'all have two concurrent stories of men being out of pocket. What is the league going to do? One's the owner, one's a player. So that has my attention.
Yeah, I definitely understand. Definitely understand. So, what has my attention is this. This is a very high possibility as of today. Adrian Wojnarowski was talking about this, saying that if the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie doesn't agree to a deal, and a lot of people are saying that it shouldn't be a long term deal, which is smart because you don't know about Kyrie. Maybe they're trying to get like a 1 year deal with incentives and stuff like that. But this is a very high possibility that can happen. Is that Kyrie can reunite with LeBron. Sources have been put out there that those two have been talking about reuniting, coming together. I think personally that it will benefit Kyrie Irving because he'll be back with the guy who helped him win a championship, helped learn how to win with LeBron, and he'll definitely be a better complement than what Russell Westbrook has been, and it'll be good for AD as well. LeBron can have that guy who can score, whether it's in the not more so in the paint because that would be AD, but definitely having someone who can score mid range and beyond with Kyrie Irving, and it takes the load off of LeBron James. Of course, you're going to question Kyrie and his motives, and will he be about himself or will he be more about the team? Will he be more humble if this move was to happen? But it's once again a definite possibility. So when you see that photo, Bunny, what do you think about the possibility of Kyrie? Look at that face, joining LeBron again, but this time in LA.
Let's be real. How many times have you worked with a co-worker or a teammate? I swear, it's like, man, that person always off work. Or they always calling in sick. Let's be real. Over the last 15 years.
And still get paid.
I'm just saying. It could be legit. Let's just say, sometimes you've heard coworkers like, oh, they had a death in their family, and a month later somebody else died, so they was off. Mm-hmm. Okay. But then at the same time, that coworker was also known to be like, man, I don't feel good, so I'm gonna call in. They telling you ahead of time they calling in. I think enough people who's been working a long time have co-work. And that's Phil Kyrie. Dude, before COVID, he still was suspect about showing up for work. That's what it boils down to. Showing up for work when you healthy. Is Kyrie going to show up to work when he's healthy? Not the COVID stuff. That was New York State or New York City's rules. So I don't hold that against him. For not being vaccinated, you couldn't work. Okay. But I think some people forget prior to that, he needed a mental break. Remember, he had to go do
Right.
this, do that. It's like you can bait him to come to your city, I.e. KD, and he kind of got the short end of the stick with some of that with Kyrie's antics. So y'all talking about seeing Kyrie rejoin with LeBron again? Is he gonna show up for work consistently while he's healthy?
I just don't feel that he's gonna do that same thing. And I mean, with LeBron, I feel like there's a different standard in regards to playing with LeBron or playing with the Lakers compared to playing with the Nets. I could be wrong, but I just feel like there would be a different standard for him, and he won't go down that same route. I want to be wrong.
But
Uh,
she don't
I'm
agree.
sorry.
She
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
said
could
she
be
just made
wrong.
that noise because she don't agree.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but once again, which Kyrie will come out? Will it be the all about
We
me,
shouldn't
or
be
will it be,
questioning this. This dude's been
or
in the
will it
league
be
too
my team?
long.
And that's true. That's true. But like I said, maybe the possibility of playing back with LeBron, the guy who helped him win, will definitely be motivation for him to be more about team than me. But definitely stay tuned. And real quick, shouts out to Jobo. She out there in Florida right now.
What up, Joe Bo? Keeping
Taking
it
her
warm
break.
for us down there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Both Conti's out there, enjoying themselves. Probably gonna meet up with T-Bone since he out there in Florida too right now.
Right. Packing up while he in Florida and she vacationing. So
Right, right. So shouts out to Joe. Thanks for the comment. Shouts out to T-Bone. Shouts out to Stan. Y'all see him next week hosting the Man Cave. Once again, is your Wednesday night sports delight. Yours truly Smooth along with Bunny as we bring
mm-hmm.
out some more hot topics going on around the world of sports. So continuing on, since Joe isn't here, I gotta hold things down for her real quick on a hockey tip. So tonight we have game 4
Four.
of the
Yep.
Stanley Cup championship between the Colorado Avalanche from the Western Conference, and from the
Mm-hmm.
East you have the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are at the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup,
Wrong sport, but it's
3
okay.
years in a row now. And for if Pat Maroon, once again, I said this before, I think 2 weeks ago, Bunny,
Mm-hmm.
but if Pat Maroon wins this Stanley Cup final, he'll be winning 4 in a row. That would be just unbelievable.
I feel like Pat Maroon's almost gonna be like the Robert Horry of the NBA Finals. You remember how Robert Horry
Yep.
was winning
Always
rings
in.
between the Lakers and the Spurs? He was
Yep.
always there to collect the
Always
individual
in.
rings.
And always was winning. Big shot, Bob.
Yeah, that's Pat
Yep.
Maroon.
Yep. I had an old Houston Rockets 25 jersey of Robert Ory, and like not too long after I had that, then he got traded to the Lakers. I mean, yeah, to the Lakers. I'm like, really?
Okay,
I
because
got
he's
the
still
jersey
winning
for
with the
nothing.
Lakers and still winning rings, though. He still
Right.
comes from the clutch for them too.
Right. So the series has been great. At first, Colorado was up 2-0, dominating. And then 2 days ago, Tampa Bay finally got a home game and they showed out. I think they got the mojo back, and I think this series will be going possibly 7 games, but it should be a great series.
So. Look, we
So
wanted to go 7 games. We want the Lightning to win because we don't who likes Stan
right,
Kroenke.
right.
Hmm.
And wouldn't it be crazy? And I hope it doesn't happen, but Kroenke already got the Rams to win Super Bowl.
Right.
Could you imagine if he gets the Avalanche? Like he gonna feel like he's the best owner in the world. That's the last thing he needs to feel.
I know he's the worst owner, but the best at getting championships recently. Yeah, go figure.
And the Nuggets, they right there. You know, they on the cusp. They on the cusp.
And we talk about Kroenke because he has a couple of those franchises in Denver, and you heard that his brother-in-law, a Walmart heir, is buying the Broncos. So it's like the Walton family has Denver on lock.
Right. Yep. So that's hockey in a nutshell. And now let's go right over to some baseball. So as you see on your screen, we have, as of yesterday, these are the all-star votes in regards to the National League and the American League. So as you see, for those listening, for the American League, you have in the outfield George Springer, Aaron Judge, Mike Trout. Then in the infield, you have Devers from Boston. You have Bo Bichette. You have Jose Altuve. That's Joe's boy right there. You have Vlad Guerrero Jr. You have Kirk from Toronto Blue Jays. And you have her other favorite player, Yordan Alvarez. Then in the National League right now, you have Jock Peterson in the outfield, Acuna Jr., Mookie Betts. In the infield, you have Machado, Trey Turner, Jazz Chisholm, and St. Louis's own Paul Goldschmidt, who just hit a 2-run home run just
Yeah,
now
Goldie.
against the Brewers. Then catching, you have what's my man name here? Tip of the tongue. There we go. Contreras. Then you have DH Bryce Harper. So that, as of right now, are the top leading vote getters in regards to the All Star starters. Right now, All Star game goes down in July. So let's get, for St. Louis people, let's get them votes up. I want to see Tommy Edman starting in the All Star game because this dude here been incredible. Buck Showalter, the head coach of the New York Mets, brought up something that I definitely agree. He said that the All Stars, the voting process or whatever, should include super utility players, guys like Tommy Edman, who's been playing great at
Okay,
second
okay.
and playing great at shortstop. He doesn't have that one defined position, but
Mhm.
he should be rewarded for what he's doing. Do you agree with that?
Well, just the utility portion, or specifically for Edmund getting on there.
The super utility position.
If that's the case, if you do that, then we're gonna start making a slippery slope. Then we gotta do the DH one. Then I mean, we're gonna end up doing other people that's really valuable to a squad.
I
So
mean, it's already a DH thing. So
I mean, is it now, since it's in both leagues? Before, was it did blah 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 blah, tongue tied. Before, did it depend on which league you were in, or it didn't matter?
no,
You
well,
know, it was
you
just
know what?
AL only.
Back in the day when it was in the NL part, then they had NL rules.
Right.
But over the last few years, no matter where they were at, it's been an automatic DH in both leagues.
Okay. So then we just saw the people who are leading right now. So where does the DH person fall into this?
Oh, the same spot. It's just a matter of once again making sure that a super utility player is being recognized in regards to the
So
All
then
Star
that's my
game.
thing. Why not slide him for the DH person then? I mean, I know you said there's already a spot for that, but that's what I said. It's like you can do that for other things then.
Mm.
Even if it's not okay, let's just say Edmund, he's not our DH person, right? Okay. But still, for the sake of making a roster and making the All-Star team specifically, you can slide it there. Or anybody else that's a super utility person. I don't think it should be made just for that position, to answer your question.
Okay. Well, I still feel that Edmonds should, because he's leading the league in WAR, and that's a big, huge stat in baseball. And
Correct.
as of right now, he's nowhere close to even starting in the All Star game. And so that's the part that,
But
because
doesn't the manager get to the final set adding a couple of people once all the All-Star selections are in there? Don't they get to add a couple of people?
as a reserve, but we're talking about McGoss starting.
Hey, it's politics. We could talk about this with the other leagues too. You know how I feel with certain awards and MVP, specifically NBA. No
Yeah.
shade, but I'm just saying. So, nah, keep it how it is. It's great people.
Oh, can't hear you. She on mute.
I didn't do that. Clearly, so now I did this. This one right here. She doesn't agree with me. She was banging. That's why we ended up on mute. She was trying to silence me. She's like, no, it should be one. It should be a super utility spot. And I'm saying no. How you getting mad at me? Because I don't agree with you.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Up next, NBA Finals is over. We have a winner. I know my wife is definitely excited. Shouts out to Jay Yonsei, to Jamie, my SA Dub. She's a Golden State fan and
But a KD fan too, right?
KD fan too.
Oh,
But
okay.
I don't know that may. Well, no, she probably, no matter where he goes, she'll probably definitely would still follow. But she's like one of the people like you should have just stayed with Golden State. You shouldn't have tried to move because your ego got big. But anyway, Golden State Warriors, they are back in regards to winning championships again. I believe that's what 3 out their last 5 years now. They have won championships. Steph Curry has a finals MVP finally. That's probably been the only thing that has eluded him, but they got there. And I mentioned this during our October show that I had Golden State going out of the Western Conference because I was like, well, hey, you're gonna have Klay Thompson back, then you're gonna have James Wiseman back. James Wiseman didn't play, but Klay Thompson did, and Golden State is back to the throne that they had been on for pretty much the last, once again, 5 years. What were
So
your thoughts in regards to Golden State winning and the effect that it will have on Jason Tatum and Boston Celtics as well?
two things. Number two, I get that from my brother. Shout out for Tatum and the rest of the Celtics for getting that far in the finals. You know, I already said this on the show weeks ago. Back at the beginning of the season, the talk on the town was, "Hey, let's trade Brown, let's trade Tatum, do whatever. Let's break them up. They can't get it done." And they had their worst basketball between the beginning of the season until mid-January, and they did a 180 all the way to the finals. So again, shout out for turning around mid-season and getting this far. So I was telling my husband, I said, you know what? I hope that the Celtics squad they have, I might have a couple of people if they want to leave, but go what the teams did in the 80s and the early 90s. You didn't get that championship, but y'all gonna stay together and try to do it again. And you don't get it this following year, stay another year and try it again. My whole thing is that group they have, now they got experience under their belt. Go ahead, stay together and try to do it again. Look what the Lakers had to figure out to get it done. Celtics had to do it in the 80s. The Pistons had to do it 80s going to the 90s, and the Bulls. Those squads in general were together for a few years, maybe
Right.
2, 3, 4, before they finally got that ring. The nucleus stay together, and I pray that the Celtics can do that. Bring that old school mindset back. Of course, free agency is different from then and now. I know contracts, I get it, but in general, just try it again, and I know they can pull it off. Now, the other question to you, number one, is what do you think, or how many more championships do you see the Warriors winning before they'll finally be defeated in the finals, or even won't make it to the finals anymore?
Well, that kind of brings up my other question I was going to ask you was, will they repeat? And I have a very high probability that they have a great chance of repeating because of everything that you brought up about their culture, keeping them guys. They are talking about trying to extend Jordan Poole and Wiggins and other guys, other young guys, part of that core. So once you have the Draymonds and Steph Currys and Klay Thompson leave, you already have other guys who know how to win that can start taking over when when the veterans leave. So I really feel like Golden State is going to be right there for a long time as long as they
I
have
mean,
health.
Warriors.
The
I
whole
mean,
thing is health. Oh, you on mute again. 1 second, everybody.
somebody's not agreeing with what I'm asking slash saying. So I asked this of my husband as well. He said he said he sees these 2 more rings that the Warriors can win, and after that, they may hit their peak with age or whatever. So that's what I'm thinking with you. Like you said, they're gonna repeat, but how many more rings do you see this core winning? And the main 3 we know: Draymond, Steph, Klay. But the supporting cast, because before Poole was on the team, before Wiggins on the team, they won rings too.
I'll
Iguodala
probably
came
say
back and he won it. So
I'll probably say maybe two more, 2 or 3 more. Like it really depends on the health of Clay, Steph, and Draymond. Because by that time, once again, Poole should be better. Wiseman will be healthier. Uh, the other guys on the Wiggins should be much better. So I really feel the next, maybe not the next 3 years, but I'll definitely say probably 3 more rings at least. It's definitely a possibility because then you got to watch out for teams like Memphis Grizzlies because John Morant gonna be ready. Other squad, Boston should be better, and of course you got Milwaukee and with the Lakers. So it's really, other teams are coming, but right now Golden State knows how to hold it things down and know how to win because of their culture, and that's going to be very important for the next few years. Miss Williams says, "I agree with Bunny. constantly changing lineups and players can be self-defeating, especially when you have a team that took you to the finals. So it's just all about consistency. That's the main thing about trying to have a great culture of team. Look like the Spurs. You saw what they did during their run. You know, they had a culture. They had guys who stayed on the team. They may have added a piece or two here, but you still had that core for them years when they had the transition. So definitely shouts out to Golden State. Congrats to them. And Bunny, it is about that time that we bring on our special guest. This man here, I definitely want to give him a lot of love because tried to get him on a while back. Then he got sick. Then we had to pretty much bump things back almost a year down the road, but he stayed with me, and I definitely appreciate. 'Cause I know for those who book people and do other shows and stuff like that, that it ain't easy trying to book certain people. But through the grace of God, he's here and he's ready. This man here, as I've been promoting, is a legend. He is a member of the sports media for 36 years. He's a sports editor of the Great St. Louis American since 1995. Where were y'all at in 1995? Because I know this man here was working, bringing out them articles for the St. Louis American for the sports edition. He's been a color analyst now for 31 years for SLU University. He's also played some college basketball. So I got to hear about this because I had no idea, but that's why he's on the show. He played some college basketball, Bunny, at Lindenwood University, and he is now on the platform Sports Talk Show, your Wednesday night sports delight. Without any further ado, it's going to be once again an honor and a pleasure to have the one and only. Think about high school sports. Think about St. Louis sports. You think about this man right here, and that's Mr. Earl Austin Jr. How you doing, sir?
Woo!
How we doing? How's everybody? Mr. Jack Bunny. Very pleasure to be here. Honored.
Definitely appreciate it. I kind of hear myself. Is your computer doing that, Mr. Austin Jr.?
How's that?
Yeah, we getting your feedback.
You hear me okay now?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we also hearing us as well. I want to have some headphones on if you have some.
Let me put my let me try these. I'm an old geezer here, so this technology stuff is.
All right, perfect.
How's
There
that?
we go. There we go.
The only thing I knew about Zoom was a show on PBS back when I was a kid. So this.
Oh wow!
Got on PBS. Oh man, now we getting there. He ain't showing his age. He's showing our age too, Bunny.
Right.
But once again, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Once again, thank you for working with me and getting you booked for the show. I definitely appreciate it. Once again, I know you were sick months back and couldn't be on last minute, but you came through for me. So thank you very much.
A pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it always.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So before we get into your background, we want to continue on with the conversation that we were just having, Bunny and I were just having about the NBA Finals. And I saw that you had a piece about Jason Tatum and everything that he's been through this season, and him probably representing the Lou. He came up short, but he definitely should get a lot of love from the Lou and those who love basketball. So, what are your thoughts in regards to what he's done for Boston and for the Lou and the NBA Finals?
Well, for St. Louis, it's incredible what Jason has been able to do representing this city. As I said, we've had some guys that were solid players on championship teams in recent years, especially for Golden State. David Lee from Chaminade, where Jason went. Patrick McCaw played at CBC. They were part of championship teams. David Thirdkill was part of a championship team for Boston. But Jason is the first that we've seen since JoJo White, and that was in the mid 1970s, that play not only a key role, but one of the main players, Charles Barkley would say, driving the bus for a team that was competing for a championship. So that's over 40 years since we've had a St. Louis player just step to the forefront and lead his team to to championship contention. 2 games away from it. So it was remarkable what we've seen. I know Bunny covered it earlier. This team was out of the playoffs at the beginning of the calendar year, and they went on a rampage all the way to the finals. And Jason was a big part of that. He had career numbers across the board, and this was coming off of an extended season where he played in the Olympics and helped us win a gold medal. And it was really probably our second best player after KD. And so it was just a remarkable year and a tremendous year of growth of taking that next step to becoming one of the stars in this league, and of course one of the young stars in this league. And the best part about it is I think this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
It's he's only 24 years old, and he's making it happen. And one thing I wanted to point out, because like you say, he's getting a lot of criticism. Some warranted, because that's part of the deal when you become of that stature. But a lot of it obviously is during this. We're in the age of just goofy, crazy slander, if the kids would say. Just over the top, craziness. And Jason and Jalen too. This is what they were trying to do, and what they almost pulled off in the NBA history is almost impossible to do. You never see two young under 25 guys lead NBA teams to NBA championships. It's just not done. It just never done. The last time it was tried was 2012 with OKC with KD, Russ, and James Harden. They were all 23. And they lost to LeBron, and they never got to play again together. And before that, you got to go back another 17 years when Shaq and Penny were both 22, 23 years old, and a dominant duo, and ran through the Eastern Conference, and ran into some old dudes, Houston, the defending champs, and got swept 4-0. And Houston was a 6 seed, battled their way, never had home court advantage. So you rarely see two young guys lead a young team to that championship. If it's a young guy leading the way, it's always an old veteran star alongside. And there's a history of those too, whether it's Magic, whether it's Kareem, Larry Bird, Dwayne Wade, Kobe, Tim Duncan. There's always a 29 veteran star right there, and that's usually how it works, because it's hard for young guys to stay together, because there's so many out. Like Ronnie said, usually when it's two young stars, people are trying to break them up, like Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady. Like you remember Jimmy Jackson, Jamal Mashburn, and
I remember them. Yeah.
And who was the other one on that Dallas team? I forget Jason Kidd.
Right.
There was the rumor there was the rumors that Tony Braxton broke them up. Basically. That was the big rumor going around back then in the early '90s. So I'm saying you put young stars together. So many things happen. But if it's a young guy and an old guy, the old guy wants to win. The young star, usually young stars are thinking they want to win championships, but they're also thinking, we want that endorsement, we want that shoe deal, we want that next max contract, we want, all that IG model or whatever, So, but these guys ignored all the noise and put together, and obviously they, some good veterans, Al Horford, Marcus Smart, but then just the young guys put together a great run, which almost came 2 games away from a championship.
And I said this after Game 4 when Boston had the opportunity to put Golden State up. I'm sorry, to put themselves up to series against Golden State, and the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, whether it was Tatum or Brown, like no one showed up to make any kind of shots, to be aggressive, to close out that game. And that's kind of pretty much been like a theme throughout the whole playoffs of Boston, is when that moment came, the pressurized moments, them clutch moments, no one wanted to make those shots or even try to attempt. And that's when Golden State found their swagger back, and they didn't lose any more games since that moment. You agree with that in regards to the lack of taking ownership in regards to the clutch moments of the game?
And the lack of championship experience is what it was, because Boston's been playing with fire throughout the playoffs. You look at Game 5 against Milwaukee, lost it in the fourth quarter. Game 6, the chance to clinch it against Miami at home, lost the game, had to force to go back to Miami to play a Game 7, a tough Game 7. So that's the thing with a young team, and they were able to get away with it in those times. But then you come up with against the same thing against the dynasty, they're going to make you pay.
Right.
Like you said, that was the series was decided right there. Golden State knew it was over after they took that game 4 late. They were down 5 with about 6-7 minutes to go. They knew it was over, and I think Boston did because you see how they came out in Game 5.
Yeah.
First quarter they were in quicksand. Yeah, and Golden State just took over the series. But that's what happens when you come up with teams that have done it time and time again. You don't get away with the slip-ups. Milwaukee, Miami were different. Golden State, a different kettle of fish, as they say. But that's how you learn. That's why when you don't go through it, you run up against some guys who've gone through that experience as well. And that's the thing. If you're going, Boston learned two things they didn't do to win a championship. You got to protect two things. They didn't protect home court and protect the basketball. They didn't do either. They were 6-6 at home during the playoffs. And then they turned it over quite a bit. Those are things, if you're trying to win a championship, you have to reverse that. You play hard for home court advantage throughout the playoffs, which they did for 3 of the 4 rounds, and you gotta take advantage of that. You gotta dominate. Golden State only lost once during the playoffs at home, and that was Game 1 in the championship series against Boston. Gotta take advantage when you have your home court.
I think that the growing pains that Tatum, Jalen, even Williams, and Horford was the most experienced on that squad. Of course, he's just a one man, but I did like in Game 1, whether the Warriors were prepared or not, because they had a nice little break. But they did team ball for Game 1 for them to pull off that win, specifically in the fourth quarter. Everybody contributed, even though Tatum wasn't scoring. He did assist, passing, for Williams. While everybody was doing their thing, I'm like, great team ball. Yes, y'all pulled it off. If that could have shown up in the other games where they lost, they would have been it'd have been much closer, or we definitely would have seen a Game 7. So yeah, you said it with the turnovers, not protecting the ball. That's obvious, honestly, but I just think that if everybody would have contributed evenly, then it would have been a Game 7. But just to get to 6 games was good though for them.
Yep, absolutely. Well, as you said, championship dynasties, teams that won it, like the Bulls in the 90s, going way back to the Celtics, Lakers, Spurs, they know why they win and they know why they lose. Boston never figured it out. This is why we are winning. This is why we are losing. They never figured out either one. And that's why we saw the same things recurring over and over again. Golden State knew why they were winning. And, I know it sounds simple, but when a team is consistently there all the time, they understand what it takes and why we are successful. Boston was great when they moved. When the ball was moving, Boston was unbeatable because, like you said, those threes were dropping, passing lanes were open, and when you're dribbling, it's easier to guard off the dribble, and that's when you saw the turnovers, going into traffic, tough angles, bad spacing. But when they were able to zip that ball around, you saw Game 7 when that ball was zipping around against Milwaukee. Then Grant Williams, a role player, it's 27 points and 8 threes or something like that. Even when Jason was struggling with the shooting in Game 1, the ball was moving. He had 13 assists. They hit 8 threes in the fourth quarter. And so that's the main thing. The basketball is still a simple game. We got so many guys that really can create shots, but when the ball is moving, that's beautiful basketball, and it's easier. And see, Boston plays tremendous defense. It was historically good, but the only thing that undermines great defense is bad offense. If you turn the ball over, it undermines your good defense because you're setting up you're tough to score in a half court. Even with Steph was made some great shots, tremendous shooting. But when you're turning the ball over 17, 18 times, that's 2-on-1, 3-on-0, transition threes, easy buckets. It's like a great football team. You can have the best defense in the world, but if your quarterback throws 4 interceptions and put you in the red zone on defense, it doesn't matter what kind of defense. That any team's going to score, and that's what happened. They undermined their own defense with the turnover, so they didn't figure that out, fast enough, and Golden State was able to take advantage. And that's why you learn. That's how you
Right.
learn.
And Miss Williams says Tatum is still young and will continue to develop. Then she said about Boston, they also stopped driving to the basket and settled for outside shots that at the end of the game weren't going in.
Well, Game 4 was the key. They tried. Game 4, they shut it down. I mean, Game 3, it was basically a conga line to the to the to the basket. They were just getting to the basket on straight line drives. Last quarter, Golden State really tightened up and cut off Boston's drives to the basket. We're not
Right.
going to let you just get to the basket. And it forced them to shoot a lot of threes, open threes, but threes that weren't comfortable threes. Threes they really, usually they're comfortable threes with good ball movement, but threes they were kind of under, just kind of forced to take, and you could tell that those were the ones they were missing because Golden State did a nice job of just cutting off dribble penetration those last 3 games.
So my question I want to ask you, because you know the history of St. Louis, and we'll get more into it down the road in this interview. But do you say, as of right now, that Jason Tatum is the best athlete or basketball player out of St. Louis?
Yeah, he's the best I've seen. He's tremendous. He's a 6'10" guard. I think you got to still have to show respect for JoJo White in the 60s because JoJo also not only was he was a 2-time world champion, a finals MVP, an Olympic gold medalist, an All-American at Kansas, and he did it at the biggest moments. JoJo, probably the biggest performance by St. Louis, and this is when Jason hit that 46 spot at Milwaukee in Game 6 in the elimination game. That was probably the biggest performance from a St. Louis player in the playoffs since the 76 finals when JoJo hit 30 in the triple overtime victory when Boston beat Phoenix in Game 5. Arguably the best NBA Finals game ever played. They beat Phoenix 128-126. The famous Garfield Hurd jumper at the buzzer to tie the game, to put it in another overtime. JoJo had like 30-something points in that game and kind of willed Boston to that victory. So, Jason's kind of on that level right now because those guys have done it at every level. Olympians, college success, individually, and playing at the highest level. JoJo's in the Hall of Fame. So, yeah, what Jason has been able to accomplish, like I said, he's still a baby. He's 24 years old,
Right.
and he's still ascending. But the skill level at 6'9", 6'10", and doing what he's doing. It's funny that they both play for the Boston Celtics, but like I said, it's a long list. But those are 2 right there at the top. We've had some great players come through our city over the decades.
Nice. So once again, we have the legendary Earl Austin Jr. as our special guest this evening on the Platform Sports Talk Show. Once again, I am your boy Smooth, and right above me, with her hands full right now, we have
Look at baby.
Buddy. Say hi.
and Sanaya, her daughter, youngest
Hi,
daughter.
Right.
Sanaya.
Say hi. Yeah. Now she want to be quiet.
Right.
Come on.
Now you want to be quiet.
Right.
All right. So let's get right into our original first question we'd love to ask our special guest. But can you tell us, when would you say was the first time you fell in love with sports?
Oh God, when I was probably not much older than Sanaya there. I was about 3-4 years old. I used to, we lived in Milwaukee when I grew up. That's where I was born, and I used to battle my father to read the Milwaukee Journal, Sentinel newspaper, the sports section. One of our neighbors was a guy named Larry Whiteside who used to cover the Brewers for that paper, and he's a Hall of Fame sports writer. Went to Boston Globe, and he's a Hall of Fame career. He was one of my neighbors, so we used to read the sports section all the time, and then so it got to the point where my mother used to buy 2 newspapers, so I'd have a sports section, and my father could read the sports section without his 4-year-old son interfering. And then obviously when I was 4 or 5, of course our family's big in basketball. I had an uncle my late mother's brother named Wes Unseld, who played at the University of Louisville, was an All-American. And he played with then the Baltimore Bullets, who are now the Washington Wizards. So we grew up on the NBA ever since I was little, and so we were Bullets. I've been a Bullets fan since 1969. That's when I started following the NBA and watching him and pattern my game after him when I played. And they got a chance to play for a championship in Milwaukee in 1971 against the Bucks, and that was when the Bucks with Kareem and Oscar Robinson won the championship, and we were there in Milwaukee. We were probably our family, the only one rooting for the Bullets then, and finally got a chance to watch him win the championship in 1978 against the Seattle Supersonics. So that's how I always had my love for hoops there, and he's kind of one of my idols. So I've always loved sports, always loved the writing end of it as well. So when I played in high school and college, and when I was done playing, then I just kind of made the transition into writing and reporting and talking about sports for a living.
So, as you brought up basketball, is your love? Did you play any other sports outside of basketball? You stuck with basketball as a youngster.
I played all the different sports when I was little, more like sandlot baseball with friends in the neighborhood. That was always a
Yeah.
lot of
I thought he
fun.
was gonna say wrestling.
No, used to watch wrestling there.
Oh, okay.
No, I wasn't always this big. I was a little guy.
Oh no, wait, because of your size.
I
No.
know, I was just kidding, but I was messing with you. We followed the wrestling, but obviously football. We played sandlot football. We followed the NFL. Followed the Packers back then, living in Milwaukee, and a lot of sandlot baseball. So we followed all the sports, but my father was a baseball guy, though. He was a baseball guy, and my brother, played in high school, college, and professional baseball. So he was kind of the apple of my father's eye. I kind of gravitated toward the hoops, as did my sister.
Mm. So, who would you say, now that you brought up your sister, who would you say is the best athlete in the family?
We were talking about this the other day, and my sister's oldest son, Robin Thompson, he claims he was. He played at MICDS, was an all-star, and he played Division I basketball at Missouri State. And he was good. He was a good ball player. My sister's three sons all played high school and college sports. But it's got to be Uncle Wes. I mean, Jesus, he's a Hall of Famer. He's an all-time great top 50, top 75 player and all that stuff. So I'd have to give him a nod. But his older brother, my Uncle George, he was an all-star player at Kansas University in the 60s. He was all Big Eight. So it's up and down the family. We've got guys that, men and women that have played. My sister is a Hall of Famer at Lindenwood University.
Mm.
She played at McClure North High School. She's the one state champion in the family.
Okay.
She made the game-winning shot in 1986 for McClure North High School.
Okay.
And then 9 years later, my brother Richard, who's the baseball star, he played basketball at Cardinal Ritter, and he was part of a state championship team with Chris Carrawell, who's now assistant coach at Duke, and Lauren Woods on that team, who's a McDonald's All-American. He was starting guard on that team. So they have that over me, and his thing was baseball. He's in the Frontier League Hall of Fame, independent baseball league. He had and he played professional baseball in 5 different countries. So he's really done well in that sport.
Okay, so
Hey,
you
your
have
family is right.
right, a very talented family. Everybody doing something. So,
Yeah.
in regards to the game of basketball, who would you say was that NBA player or just basketball player that you seen that you was like, you know what, I love this sport. This the reason why I fell in love with the game.
Well, growing up in the '70s, obviously, when you have a Hall of Famer right there in your own family, Uncle Wes. I learned I wore his number 41. I was kind of an undersized power forward center like he was. He played center at 6'6" in the league. I just kind of went to his camps all the time. So he was number one. But back then, you saw so many great players in the '70s. Elvin Hayes was one of his teammates, one of the great power forwards in the league. Walt Frazier for the New York Knicks. We lived in Milwaukee, so I got to watch Lou Alcindor. Then he played Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I used to watch him on a nightly basis before he went to LA, and just so many. Bob McAdoo with the New York Knicks. Buffalo Braves. So these are names that people are like, who was he talking about? But and then even college, we were at Marquette University, with Al McGuire, they had Bo Ellis and Butch Lee were star college stars right there in town that we all followed. And then Uncle West played at Louisville, so I also followed the Louisville Cardinals. And with Daryl Griffith, Dr. Junkenstein and the Doctors of Dunk, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, Jerry Eves was a point guard. He was a neighbor of my grandparents back in the day in the '70s. So those are some of the early guys that I followed. And in my high school days, that's when Magic and Bird came along, and obviously, man, it really went to another level then.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I knew that you're gonna have some awesome answers because of your history of the game and your love of the game. So definitely was expecting some great answers in regards to some
Thanks.
basketball players from back.
Excuse me, I'm fighting off a little cough. I'm at the end, so excuse my little coughing from time to time here.
Oh, okay, no worries. We still hear you crystal clear. It's all good.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you sound great. So once again, we appreciate having the legendary Earl Austin Jr. on the platform Sports Talk Show. So, what high school did you go to?
Famous St. Louis question.
Yes, I went to McClure North High School.
Okay.
1982, the Stars. Yeah, we were played basketball there. We were average then, but they were really good in the 2000s. They won state championships in 2007, 2011, and 12. Final Four in 2008. Shout out to Coach Randy Reed leading our team, leading our school to the to state championships in that era. But right there and live there in Florissant the whole time. I played basketball for 2 years at McClure North High School.
So, what led you and the family to move from Milwaukee to St. Louis?
Well, I lived in Milwaukee. My father worked at the Schlitz Brewery, and then when I was 12 years old, we moved to Syracuse first. He got transferred to Schlitz, and then in 1980, Anheuser-Busch bought out Schlitz, and we transferred him to here, to St. Louis, to work for Anheuser-Busch. So that's when we moved here, and I've been here ever since. So 42 years. I call myself, even though I wasn't born here, I call myself a St. Louisan since I've been here 42 years now.
Okay, and you said that you didn't win any state championships, but I love to ask this question, especially the coaches. But as you being an analyst now, how would you analyze yourself and your game as a high schooler?
I was a late bloomer. When I was a freshman, I was cut from the basketball team at Liverpool High School. There was 2 freshman teams, so I was really bad. And then I went out for the JV team as a sophomore. I was cut again. So I used to play all the time at the playground. So I just kept playing, working, and I was stubborn and hard-headed. So when we moved here, I was kind of glad we moved. Oh, maybe I get a new lease on life. So I tried out for the team at McClure North High School as a junior. I even said, if I don't make the team this year, I'm just going to quit playing basketball and do something else or whatever. I made the team, but I didn't really play much. But I was happy to be on the team. I was kind of the called back then was called a 30-30-30 guy. I went in the game when we were up 30, down 30, or if it was 30 seconds left in the game.
I've never heard that term before. Wow.
Yeah.
30-30-30 guy.
Yeah. So my senior year, I finally got a chance to start and played. And averaged about 10 points, about 9 rebounds. Had a solid year, not great, but it was fun. And he had a decent, about 500 season. But it was my first opportunity to play at the high school level. And I played for a man named Pete Waldo and wrote a bunch of letters because I wanted to play in college ball. And he wrote a lot of letters to me for me in my behalf. And Lindenwood College, back then Lindenwood College, now Lindenwood University, got answered and got in Grayling Tobias, who was a great athlete in St. Louis in the 70s. He was a young coach, about 24, and he recruited me, and I got a chance to. That's how I went there at Lindenwood College and played, and it was funny. That's my very first game. I never tell many people this. My first game at Lindenwood, I scored 44 points. I think my high at high school was maybe 15 or something, and it was we didn't have a lot of players. We had a lot of players leave, so we only had 7 players my freshman year, so we got a chance to play all the time.
Right.
So got a chance to put up some big numbers because we played all the time and got a lot of confidence and ended up having a pretty nice career at Lindenwood. You know, I don't really talk about people. You actually played? Yeah, I played. Yeah, so I think the number was like 2,000 points and 900 rebounds, something like that, in my 4 years
Okay.
at Lindenwood, and in 2013, they bestowed the honor. Then coach Brad Soderberg at the time and assistant coach Marshall Newman called me up and told me they were going to retire my jersey at that time. So that happened about 8-9 years ago. So that was a great honor for that to happen for me.
That's definitely awesome, man.
Yeah.
As we get to our 8 o'clock hour, I know that Bunny, you had to go ahead and skedaddle. So, did you have any last few words for the legendary Earl Austin Jr.?
Question
Sure.
regarding Lindenwood, your alma mater. Now that they're Division One, do you see them making a big footprint on the St. Louis area to where they will surpass Lou's imprint regarding athletics in the St. Louis area?
Well, one thing, what's big about them going Division One, particularly in football, is that now St. Louis has a Division One football program in the city, in the area. And I think even though I'm a basketball person, I think that's very exciting for that to happen because we got so much talent in the St. Louis metropolitan area. We've seen it at all levels. I mean, you've seen it like just lately. Jamison Williams from Alabama, from Cardinal Ritter, just obviously we got kids in the pros and like Zeke Elliott, just all up and down the line. And there's so many kids coming through the pipe. So the opportunity now for some kids to there's SEMO down in the same conference and Missouri State. That's how you come. Now you got a program right here in St. Louis and a lot of Division One caliber athletes. Lindenwood at Division Two, we put kids in the NFL. Pierre Desir,
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, it's played in the NFL from Francis Howell Central. Brian Schaefering from Hazelwood East played for the Indianapolis Colts, and a few others who have had opportunity. So this is when we were in NAIA and Division Two program. So getting an opportunity. So basketball, I think you're joining the Ohio Valley Conference, which is a solid conference. Now, as far as surpassing SLU, that's going to be a tough proposition. SLU will establish program in the Atlantic 10 Conference, and you'll step not quite Power Five, but still one of the better top 8 or 9 conferences in the country. But I'm
Okay.
excited about the future of Lindenwood athletics. They're so good in so many different. They have like 40, 45 different sports, and they're so
Oh, really?
good.
Okay.
They've had Olympians in different sports, and whether it's field hockey, track, just they're so good in a lot of different avenues that this is exciting to see.
So
Nice.
somebody won't move her face from my lips. Okay, so thank you. Please. Thank you for that. And can I get a bonus before she starts crying? My bonus question for you. Do you think
Sure.
us will ever get an NBA team?
Oh, look
again,
at that
again.
smile. Look at you. Oh man,
An
you
NBA
know,
team, please.
I never lose hope or close the door. It's going to be tough because I think they're looking at, Seattle, Las Vegas, school teams like cities like that. We had an opportunity. It looked like, '90s, I guess. I thought looked like we were going to get the Grizzlies
Right.
out of Vancouver. Bill Laurie had purchased the team, and I think the plan was to come here to St. Louis, but David Stern and folks stepped in and decided we're going to stay in Canada or whatever. And then a year or two later, they're in Memphis, So it's so we don't instead of having back then Mike Conley and Zach Randolph or how about John Morant at the what's the name, the Keel, not the Keel Center anymore, what's it called now, Scottrade
Enterprise.
Enterprise. I lose track. Yeah, you
Right.
don't have John Morant in the Enterprise Center.
Right.
No. Yeah, so it's going to be tough. I don't know. I
Oh.
don't know. We might maybe Kansas City before St. Louis. Kansas City is really
I can see that too.
on the move and a lot of different things going on. But I never lose hope.
Same here.
Thank you. Thank you, y'all, for letting me ask those bonus questions.
You are welcome. And Bunny, you and Sanaa, all y'all over there at the household. Sasha, y'all have a great rest of y'all evening.
You too. And Mr. Austin, I look forward to hearing you on the air next. Wait,
Uh-oh.
you don't want to
There
leave?
she
You have to
goes. She
All right.
leave.
goes.
Okay, now I want to talk some more.
I want some
No, you
mail
have to
time.
leave.
I want some
Mommy
mail
has to do her
time.
mommy duties. Okay, guys, sorry. Good night. Look, I just look forward to hearing you on the air again for the next basketball season. I'll hear Smooth all the time. Even though I'm driving, let me put you all on. So great job.
Pleasure talking with you.
All right, you all have a good evening.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
All right. And that was Bunny, as she is gone now, taking care of her motherly duties. Once again, this is the Platform Sports Talk Show. I am your boy Smooth. And right over here, we have.
It's
Go ahead.
me,
Go ahead. Tell them.
Earl
Go ahead
Austin
and tell them.
Jr.
There you go. The legendary Earl Austin Jr. Once again, for everyone watching for the first time, thank you for tuning into the Platform Sports Talk Show. Make sure y'all give us a follow on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Subscribe, click on the bell. We also on Instagram, Platform Sports Talk Show. Excuse me, at Platform Sports Talk. Then our email address is platformsportstalkshow@gmail.com. This show will be uploaded on Roku. Follow our channel on the Roku channel. Just put in the Platform Sports Talk Show. Give us a follow right there as well. Also, we are on Hot 365 Radio, where they have the app on your Android or Apple devices, or you can go online, hot365radio.com. Hear us in crystal clear HD. Now, Mr. Austin Jr., I like to surprise, my guests every now and then. And the biggest thing is giving your flowers, what I'm saying, while you are alive. And this person here, she was definitely excited when I told her that you were going to be a guest on the show. She's been showing you love, and you also been showing her love as well, as she is the CEO, the founder of Action No Mercy. I think you may know who I'm talking about now, but she wants to
Yes.
jump on in and show you some love. And she's also part of Ladies Night, in which you can see Ladies Night every first Wednesday of the month, right here, same time. None other than Coach Dominique Stringer. Coach, what's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hi, Dominique.
Hey.
Yes, I am doing well. Thanks for asking. And Coach, I know how much this means to you to have the legendary Earl Austin Jr. on. So, what is it about Earl Austin Jr. that you was like, you know what, he's the goat. He's dope.
Honestly, I would say just the love, not being from St. Louis and having somebody that's pouring into me often, showing my teams love, showing my players love. It's always been personal for me. Like I said, I'm not from here, and to have someone constantly praising, the good work I do for the community has always been something great for me to feel.
That's what's up. And how does it feel just hearing those wonderful words?
Oh, it's gratifying. I've said it on social media on more than one occasion that Dominique is the hardest working person in grassroots basketball, and that's something that's it's a big statement because we got a lot of people doing a lot of great things working with kids in this area. Uh, and these folks are dedicated. You don't do it for the money. They travel. A lot of times they come out of their own pocket to make sure kids get opportunities, not only to play, get exposure, get it seen, recruited by colleges, and just across the board, just showing love for the kids. And I think what she does is, she was doing it for the boys, and then she went above and started a girls program. And not only does she coach teams, she'll coach 7, 8 games a day, both boys and girls, but then she trains them, works out, then she'll have open runs for them. Hey, you want to play? Want to open up the gym? And then the social media presence for the program, and then obviously putting them, constantly on the phone, on social media with coaches and getting these kids opportunities to go and play. So just encapsulating everything, I think that's just tremendous for what she and her staff do for and these are people under the radar kids, you hear about the kids all the time that are, whether it's, like the Jason Tatums, Bradley Beals, Nafisa Colliers, the All-American types. We see this where she goes and gets talented kids, but kids aren't getting all the the publicity, and she treats them as if they're those are as they're Jason Tatum's, they're Nafisa Colliers. Those to her they're special, and they get the opportunity, they get scholarships, and that's the main thing, opportunity. So she just does a tremendous job, and I always just wanted to salute that kind of effort that she does, and it's very impressive because she's been kind of new to the scene in recent years. What she's been able to do, the imprint she's been made in St. Louis in a pretty short time.
And what do you think sets her apart from others?
Oh, just that above we're going that extra mile, and it's a lot. You hear a lot of different stories about AU basketball. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. She represents all that is good about it because she goes that extra. It's that extra effort that she puts into every single kid. It's just not the superstar. It could be the eighth or ninth player on the team. She just is dedicated to every individual kid that comes through her program. She treats them like they're the best player in the city, and I think that takes a special gift and a special talent, and you can see on how the kids react to her out on the court or on social media. I think that's what we need. Somebody who just it's more than just coaching and teaching basketball. With her, it's about communicating and reaching young people, and those individuals always get a gold star in my book.
Hey, got the gold star, coach. I know you already just beaming. I can see it right now. How's that make you feel?
You know what? I'm very humble all the time. I tell Coach Pauses all the time, having positivity feedback is always great because there's so much negative in this world. And for somebody to see the work that I put in and knowing it's not about the penny or the dime and knowing about just the heart and the passion of the game, it means a lot. The words you just said, Earl, it just touched my heart, and I'm trying to be emotional because I am a big fan. When I see Earl in the gym, I'm so starstruck. I'm so shy already. I'm like, oh my God. So it means a lot to me to hear that positivity, man. I work so hard. So when people see the things that I do and the meaning I have behind it, it just shows that my work is going unnoticed.
And also to see women in the game doing that as well, I
Right.
think that should be an example for some other young ladies who maybe at the end of their playing days, college days, they see what Dominique has been able to do, and there's an opportunity, to get into coaching, mentorship, and doing all those different things to help kids. And I think that's very important as well. That's very important. We still don't see a whole lot of women out there in St. Louis. We're seeing more and more, but I think this helps a lot.
Mm. And
Mhm.
how did you hear about Coach Stringer and Action No Mercy? What led you to go to the practices that she was having, or just how did you hear about her overall?
The social media presence. And like I say, being an old guy, usually I go out to the gyms. I see their teams, and I've watched the Cobras for a while. Marco, he's done a great job, and it's just social media. You can go on social media every day on Twitter. You can see a
Mhm.
kid who's could be committed, or a workout with this kid, or this kid's joining. So I think that's one thing I've learned, just the social media presence that she's had, this her program has had, and then you go out and watch the kids play and everything, and I think that's what really brought it to my attention. It kind of draws you in, then you can see everything else that the program does. And they're winning tournaments now. That's the thing too.
Right. Y'all
they're
dominate, y'all
they're
coach.
good. They're playing good basketball, and they won. The girls won a big tournament a few weeks ago, and the boys have gone out of town and played competitive and represented St. Louis well too. So these are good players. I mean, these kids can play, and and she's helped a lot in helping develop that talent, taking her time, working with kids, and there's some, there's a lot of places they could go, and a lot of opportunities to play, and I think with what they're doing, I think more and more kids are seeing it. Oh yeah, this is there's some pretty good kids who are I think, and you'll see it in the future as we'll continue. We'll be calling her, because a lot of times she'll have to go hustle away. You want to play, and then they'll be, I know as she gets more successful program, they'll be knocking on her door, calling her up, saying, "Hey, we want to play. We want to be part of this." I think if that hasn't happened already.
Yes, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. Yeah, she's beaming. I love it. This is what the sports talk show is all about. Coach, did you have any questions for the legendary Earl Austin Jr.?
Yes, I have a big question. I know the things I do now, helping these kids, succeed in the classroom or go to college or play the varsity level next year. What else do you think I can do to help this community? I know it's not a lot of people reaching out to help or give the advice that's needed because the basketball world is different. But you being a legend here, you being involved in the basketball community, what do you think I can keep improving on or do different to help these kids in the classroom and on the court?
Wow, I mean, you got it covered pretty much. Because I go around and see all the different, obviously, go around the state and watch kids, and there's so many people that are doing so many good things. I just think just uh, uh, continue to push and keep your name out there and keep hustling out there because everybody, it doesn't matter the status of the program. Everybody, whether it's the EYBL teams, they're out there keeping their name out there, pushing their name out there, or the programs that are not as known. Like you said, you have to work as harder, and you still work hard, and you just have to continue to do what you're doing. And as you continue to build, and I think I'm really what you're doing is fine. You just have to continue to build on what you're doing as you continue to uh, as your program grows in stature. That's when you act accordingly. Maybe there may be a time where as you get big, you'll probably want to dip into younger kids. That's what we see some folks. Maybe there might be a parent, who might, hey, I got this fifth grader. I got some fifth graders that may want to, want your mentorship, want to play for you, and then all of a sudden, boom, you got Action No Mercy sixth grade girl team. You know. So maybe that might be the thing. Like I said, when your plate's full right now with boys and girls, high school level kids. I mean, that's a lot
Right.
already as it is. But there's so many more. There's so many people getting their kids involved at that young age, that youth age.
Right.
And, so maybe that's something in the future.
Okay. I'm all for it.
Mhm.
All the challenges.
Right.
Uh oh, can't hear you. Something happened to his microphone.
Yeah, I can't hear him either.
Let's see, Mr. Austin Jr., your microphone. Let's see. Yeah, we can't hear you all of a sudden. His audio. Let's see. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I don't know.
Let's see, Mr. Austin Jr., can you hear me? We can't hear you right now. Your audio kind of turned off on us. Let's see what's going on. His connection just may have went away just for a minute, so we do apologize. Hope that y'all enjoying everything in regards to this interview. It's been incredible. I am your boy Smooth, and right below on Ladies Night, we have Coach Stringer, and we're trying to work on the audio right now with Earl Austin Jr. Let's see what's going on here. Give us 1 second. He's trying to work on everything. So what I would say, Mr. Austin Jr. is why don't you reconnect? And you can't hear us. Let's see. Let me see if I can get him a little chat real quick. Let's see. All right, so we're gonna work on his audio on his end. So when he comes back, we can continue on. But coach, just talking to him right now, how does it? I know you're already smiling, and he's been saying some great things, but just being to speak with this legend, I know it's incredible, right?
I am truly speechless. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, seeing him write articles is one thing, but actually hearing these words out loud is it's a different ball game. It's very touching and meaningful.
Yes, it is. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can reach out another way because he's not getting the message. Let's see. Gotta love technology, but we're gonna see if we can get him right back in so he can. Yep, okay, he got the message. He's gonna log out and he's gonna come back in. Hopefully, we can hear him and we can continue on with this wonderful conversation. Real quick, what were your thoughts about the NBA Finals? After I told Earl Austin Jr. I said after Game 4, when Boston had the opportunity to close out that game and put Golden State down by 2 in the series. They failed to do the job. And I'm always a big proponent of when you have someone down, you got to put the foot on the necks. And Boston did not do that. What was your thoughts?
To be honest, both of those teams are my teams. Boston's one of my favorite teams. I love the franchise. I'm from California, so Warriors is the home team. It was many times when Boston just settled for 3-point shots. I don't know what told them this. You shooting the ball that many times. They lost the game because everybody wanted to play Superman. Nobody wanted to take leadership on the court. And they knew the Warriors were gonna come out flying, and nobody capitalized off of what they could have did potentially. So I was really frustrated with Boston, but I was also happy the Warriors won. I think Steph really he deserved that for the work he put in to even get them back up the ladder, man. It was a great series, but that last game was horrible. I was so bored. I fell asleep in the fourth quarter. I woke up for the ceremony. I was just like, they didn't want it bad enough yet. They had the energy for the first part of the finals, and then it just wore off. They wasn't ready as much as they thought they were.
Yeah. And then, like what Earl Austin Jr. was saying, you're facing a team that has championship DNA.
Mhm.
They know how to win, and you can't allow what they say a sleeping. You had to allow a sleeping dog to lie. You can't wake up the beast, and they woke up the beast. Go Clay, or excuse me, Steph Curry came alive, and it was like, you know what, we have new life. Boston, y'all done messed up, and look what happened.
Yeah.
Three wins in a row.
It was crazy. I enjoyed watching Steph do his thing. I like Poole. I think he gonna have a good career in the NBA. But Boston, they need to me honestly. Boston needs a point guard. I don't know what Marcus Smart does half the time, but they need somebody that's gonna have some leadership on the court, man. Because everybody was just doing the same thing. Nobody was trying to slow it down. It didn't even seem the coach was like, "Stop shooting." It just
Mhm.
looked chaotic, man. Chaotic.
Yeah. And I believe he's ready to see if he is good to go. Is he back?
Hello, hello.
There
There we
we
go.
go.
All
All
right,
right. Much clearer. All right. Sounds good.
all
So,
right.
did you have any more questions for the legendary Earl Austin Jr., Coach Stringer?
That was my biggest question, to be honest.
Okay. Yep. So we were just discussing the Celtics and Golden State Warriors series, and she was pretty much saying, like I was saying earlier, uh, when you have someone down, you got to keep the foot on the net and don't allow a team like Golden State to get that energy back or get that that momentum back. Okay, you saw what happened once you let Steph Curry and them breathe. It's like, okay, now it's
But
showtime, and y'all done messed up.
and it shows when you go through the greats of the game over the years, win championships. You think of a game that they had. Like when you think of Magic, you think of that 42-15-7 rookie year game when Kareem was out and he played center in 1980.
Hmm.
When you think of Jordan, there's so many, but people think, oh, the flu game, 38 points, and a pivotal game 5 win. You think of Hakeem, that 45 against the Spurs and David Robinson, up and down the board. LeBron when he had, that 25 in a row. Isaiah 25 points on that bad ankle against the Lakers. When people look back at Steph Curry, you'll think of the Steph game, that game 4 when he scored 43 points, 7 of 14 from three. and that team was down, and he literally put that team on their back, on his back. And I remember he hurt himself in the previous game. He was hurt that game with that ankle, and that I think that was probably the signature performance of his career. And it came when they were going down 3-1 against a young, hungry, great defensive team like Boston. I think that's that's the game that really raised his legend to another level, and then obviously it led to a championship as well. So I think that people remember, they'll be talking about that Steph game for generations.
We also have a comment here from Marvin Cromer. Says Mr. Austin is a living legend and deserves his flowers. Thoughts on that comment?
Thank you, Marvin. Thank you. Just glad to still be here. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Well, Coach Stringer, thanks for taking some time out to be on the stream and show love and give the legendary Earl Austin Jr. his flowers. Definitely appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for speaking to me, Earl. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to talk to you, to see what you got going on, for you to see what I got going on, and I hope to see you some more soon next month.
We'll see you in July, of course. Big month.
All right. Well, you have a great evening, Coach.
All right, dude. Fight later.
All right. So that was one surprise I had for you, Mr. Austin Jr. Now I have a second one. This person you may know pretty well because you see him every Billikens home game. He is the hype man. He is the MC. He's also a rapper, a hip hop artist, and I think you know him pretty well. Goes by the name of Draco. What's going on with you, brother? Uh-oh, can't hear you.
What a surprise.
Let me see. Draco, we can't hear you. No, still can't hear you. Something going on with the audio.
Here we go.
All right.
What's going on with you, man?
I'm good. How you doing? Legend? Mr. Earl Austin Jr.
Draco, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to seeing you in a few months here.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be. It's coming around quick, right?
Yes, it is. Oh man, it's gonna be exciting this year. I'm looking forward to you hyping up some packed crowds at the Shafits this year.
Oh, yeah. And I know they're ready for it too. They're ready for it for sure.
Yes.
So Draco, I had you on the show a few weeks ago. Great interview. Definitely appreciate you being on a few weeks ago and being back here. I know you got a busy schedule, a lot of things going on in your world right now. So congrats to you first off.
Thank you.
So when I told you I had the legendary Earl Austin Jr. to be on the show and I want you to hop on, how did you feel?
Oh, I felt ready. I was definitely honored to be a part of it. A legend in his own right, even with me coming up in the city playing basketball, even as a youngin. Mr. Earl Austin Jr. was always the face. He was always around. He knew everything about everything when it came to basketball and sports in general. So it was an honor for me to just hop on and really give you your flowers, my man, and wanted to make sure that you know that you are appreciated each and every time you step in the arena or any type of sports atmosphere. You definitely are appreciated, and we thank you for all your dedication to the love for any sport.
I thank you very much. You do a tremendous job. You're a heck of a player, and what you do for the SLU community and the kids, you really, like I said, I always say it, that building belongs to you young people and your kids. I mean, that's your building, and you keep it live, and you get the old heads up when they need to get up and get excited, and get behind these kids, get behind the Billikens, because we need it. We definitely need it. We're playing Auburn, top 10 team, or some of the teams we have coming through here next year. We need everything to make this thing work, and you're a big part of that success that we've had over the years.
Thank you so much.
And I do have a question. So once again, and I brought him on the intro, Mr. Austin Jr. You've been with SLU for 31 seasons, and Draco told me the story of how everything originated with him becoming the hype man MC at Slew Billikens games. So when you first saw what he was doing, were you like, "Oh Lord, is this going to really last? What the hell's going on?" This is your point of view about what he has brought to Slew.
I loved it. Let me tell you, as much I've been all over the country watching. I'm a big atmosphere guy, as well as watching the sports. Like when I go to high school sports, sometimes I'll watch highlights of the game. I'll take the marching bands as well. I love marching bands. I love pep bands at events, and I love uh, uh, folks that really get the crowd and hyped into the game. Obviously we got one of the best pep bands uh, in the world's greatest pep band. We've been doing that for decades, and then Draco just added on to the atmosphere. We want you know whether it's back in the day Kiel Auditorium, Kiel Center, now Chaffetz. You want the best atmosphere. You want it as uncomfortable it is for the opposition. You don't want the opposition to come in feeling comfortable. You want it to feel like this is a St. Louis U. This is going to be a long 2 hours for you, and he really kicks those kids and elevates the atmosphere of the building, and that elevates anything that elevates the performance of the team. I love it. Absolutely, I love it. It's great, especially when that student section is full, that band section is full, and Wrinkles on the mic, and it brings the Chaffetz to another level. I mean, you look on TV, you see those great atmospheres around the country. That's part of the home court advantage. That's why it's so tough to win on the road, and that's why road wins are golden when you can get one. I know we dropped a few early this year, but by and by, Chaffetz is a tough place to win, and obviously it's a good team, good coaching, but that atmosphere that he helps help create is a big part of it as well.
How does it make you feel hearing that, Draco?
I told you, man, I'm honored. And just when he was saying that the arena, it was built for the young people and to carry that torch. But I can honestly say that that foundation that you all have set, it's an honor to even carry that moving forward, man. So, Mr. Earl Austin Jr., I want to say it again. So I am honored, and I thank you each and every time you step in that arena or into any sports atmosphere, man. You just really bring that knowledge to the game, and you always around, and I love it. I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you too, young man.
Yes, sir.
As you were telling the story about what Draco brings to Slew, it kind of reminds me, and I'm not sure Draco was at Slew in regards to an MC at that time, but when college basketball game day came down to, I believe it was Slew. I think Dick Vitale did a game at Slew. Was that correct?
1995, he did the
Okay.
game.
Okay.
We played UMass that game.
Okay.
They were ranked number one. Calipari was the coach.
But I feel like it was more recently at the Shapes that he came down for a game. Is that correct?
Bobby Knight has come down and done games. He did a game. I think that might have been the only Dickie V game.
Oh, okay.
We've had some heavy hitters. ESPN games come through. Maybe I could be wrong, but we've had a lot of big ones over the years when we were good. During the Majerus days, Jim Cruz days, even recent years, we've had some big ones.
Yeah. I do want to say that I do recall it was during the Majerus years. And I know he was talking about how Slew was just rocking because the different energy that Majerus brought. So I feel like he was there during that time. But when you brought up the story of Draco and how he's been holding things down at Slew, that kind of had me thinking about that. But it's a question I asked Draco that I want to ask you. The Chaffetz, I know that, of course, heart of the city, but I don't see a lot of like high school basketball games being played there. Has there been any talks to having like a shootout there or some kind of high school, tournament thing or something going on there that can really help more people be more aware, more students be more aware of Chaffetz Arena, and of course that'd be a nice little quiet way to get more people to get into Slew as well. But have there been any talks about having more high school games being played at the Chaffetz?
And when it was open, they used to have some events there. I know they had the Coaches versus Cancer events there back in this when Bradley Beal was in high school. I know they played O'Fallon, Roosevelt Jones. Now I'm not sure uh, outside of state tournaments if you can if you can have events. I don't know if there's rules NCAA rules where you can have events now on NCAA campuses anymore. Maybe outside of state tournaments. I'm not sure. Other than that, I really don't know the answer to that if that's a rule or not. 'Cause I know in the past, in early years, we've had some. There's been some nice high school events there as well. But I'm not sure if that's the case where if Shapers is able to host. And then they got so much different between the Billikens and the women and men's team, and they got all kinds of concerts and shows and stuff like that coming in and out of there already. Pro wrestling was just there last week, and so it stays pretty busy.
So while we're sticking with SLU, let's talk about the upcoming season. I know I asked Draco about his thoughts. Y'all have an incredible home schedule. Y'all got some teams coming to the Lou. What are you looking forward to in regards to this upcoming season? I know number one probably has to be Javante Perkins coming back from being out all season long last year. But what are your thoughts about this upcoming season for the St. Louis University Billikens?
It's going to be exciting. There's no doubt about it. I'm very excited to have Javante back. I think folks missed seeing the best player in the Atlantic 10 Conference last year when he went down with his injury. And hopefully he's back to full strength. I watched him work out last week. He looked pretty good still, just taking it, gradually. But hopefully he's back to full bore by the beginning of the season. But what happened was we had so many other guys really step up and become major players in Javante's absence, which will bode well with Javante back. Yuri Collins became one of the best point guards in the nation, scoring. He was first team all conference, led the nation in assists, and also was first team all defensive team in the Atlantic 10. Francis Okoro became one of the best big men in the Atlantic 10 Conference, became a viable threat scoring the ball inside. And Gibson Jimerson elevated from once was just a catch and shoot guy to a 3-level scorer, leading the Atlantic 10 in scoring for much of the season. And then you had guys like Fred Thatch, TJ Hargrove really step up and really play solid roles. And we got good players coming in, a good recruiting class, so a lot of veterans. It's just a good all around team. Play good defense and should have good depth, and just looking forward to it. They just said the schedule is really good as well. We played. I think it's Providence. We're in that little with Maryland, Providence, and Miami, Florida. We're in that big. I think that's in Connecticut as well. Boise State comes to town. They were in the NCAA tournament, Mountain West Championship. We got a lot of good NCAA caliber teams. It's a tough schedule like we had last year, so we'll be tested quite a bit. We're looking forward to it, though.
And Draco, as he was naming all those players, with you being the MC, a hype man, holding things down, do you have a good relationship with some of the players too?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I'm actually going to be up there probably next week or so. But I have a really good relationship with those OGs or the vets, as you want to call them, who are already there, like Fred and Yuri and my boy Hargrove, Mama Hargrove. She's great as well. Shout out to Mama Hargrove, TJ Hargrove's mother. But yeah, I have a really good relationship with those guys, and it's always family oriented, especially when you're in the arena. I just want to make sure that people know that even if you're a new recruit coming in, even if you play college elsewhere, this is your home when you step in Chaffetz Arena, and when you put on that blue or that white, this is your home. So we want to make sure that you feel just like that. You're at home. You're with family, and let's get these W's together.
Exactly. And I'll ask both of you before you go, Draco. First to Mr. Austin Jr. When word got out about our point guard Yuri Collins leaving SLU for that period of time, how many heart attacks did y'all or strokes did y'all have during that time?
I was like, what are we gonna do about a point guard? Yeah, it was tough for a week, but as we've seen, it's NIL and the portal have really changed the landscape of college basketball. And we've seen some great players from mid-major, even some high majors, change schools. Like South Dakota State lost its great player. Went elsewhere. The young man from Belleville,
Javante.
Malachi Smith, left Tennessee Chattanooga. Great player there. He left. He's at Gonzaga now. I mean, you saw a lot of great players from that level who are moving into into new homes. St. Bonaventure, great team the last 3 or 4 years. That core of guys, all of them have moved on. Iowa State, Alabama, different schools around the country in the Power Five. So it was sooner or later, it's going to touch you, and we thought it did, but we were fortunate that Yuri came back, and but that's something that's going to be a reality throughout this new landscape of college basketball. Nobody's going to be immune from it.
Rico, how about yourself?
Man, listen, my phone was blowing up. Okay, like they were thinking I was a coach or a recruiter. I was like, listen, I'm just as shocked, and I don't want my boy to leave either. I was like, please, Yuri, don't leave. Please don't leave. I'm scrolling looking for updates, just like everybody else was, just like everybody else was. But thankfully, he stayed home. So, like I said, when I first heard the news, I was just like, please don't leave. I don't want Yuri to leave. And I was like, you the floor general for the home team. Don't leave, don't leave. And it was just a testament right from the start. It's not anything wrong with being able to expand in any right, as long as it's in a positive aspect. But we were just thankful that he stayed with the home team. You know what I mean? That's just a testament to the faith that he has in his team, his teammates, his family, things of that nature. So I was just grateful that he would just stay home, because that's what ultimately everybody wanted, including me.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad that throughout that time frame, everything worked out. And like you said, with the NIL, that it's definitely a game changer, and the transfer portal. I know there's been a lot of naysayers about this whole process, but do you feel like this NIL and the transfer portal is what's best for college? Legend, Mr. Austin Jr.
Well, as far as the NIL, I'm happy to see the young athletes get a piece of the pie. I've always thought they deserve some money paid, and it, you know, college sports, especially football and basketball. God, this is a multi-million, billion-dollar industry. The TV deal for the NCAA tournament alone is just monstrous. So these kids generate so much revenue. So I'm glad to see them get the opportunity. Like you said, Ed O'Bannon needs to be up there with the Kurt Floods and that type, his name up there, because he really is the one that really started this fight for name and image and likeness, and that was years back in the '90s or whatever, 2000 years ago. And I like to see now, it's turned into something else a little bit. But I mean, I just good to see, because not everybody's going to the NBA or NFL or whatever. So if you're able to make some good money while you're playing collegiate sports, I'm happy about it myself.
Okay.
I wish it was when I was playing at Lindenwood.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure Draco, you feel the same way. Like if you was doing what you're doing now and still balling at that time, that it was money. Woo!
Man, and I'm not too far removed now.
Right.
A couple more years ago, I would have been. No, but yeah, just as a former player, and from the perspective of looking from the outside in as a fan and as an entertainer and MC, way overdue. Like, I'm so happy for the leaps and bounds that have been made in the NCAA and for our players. Man, it's way overdue, and I'm super excited. Like, I can't say it enough. It's well deserved, well overdue.
Most definitely. Well, I definitely appreciate you for taking some time out to be part of this celebration, shall we say, for the legendary Earl Austin Jr. Any last words or questions you have for him?
I'll see you in a couple of months, legend. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't wait to see you in that arena, giving that knowledge of the game that you know so well. So thank you again, and I'm honored to be a part of this.
Same here. Looking forward to seeing you too as well.
Yes, indeed. All right. See you guys.
All right, have a good one.
Peace.
All right. Awesome, man. So once again, this is what I do on the Platform Sports Talk Show. Keep getting them flowers to those who deserve it. How does it feel having
This is
Coach
like
Springer and Draco on?
this is like when I was a kid. I guess I'm aging myself. It's like watching the episode of This Is Your Life.
This is your life. Up next, we have. It's definitely been fun. So the next question I want to ask you, as we continue on with this great interview, high school sports. When I think about high school sports, I instantly think about you, your articles from the American. Even when I was younger, not trying to make it even older, but I went to the V, and I played during the years with Joe Shelton, Jim McKinney, Dwight Whitfield, Jesse Akins, and so on and so on and so on. So I'd always just be like, man, I want to do something where I can get an article or meet him, and he'd be like, great game, son, whatever. So what is it about high school sports that made you gravitate to that so much?
I just enjoyed it. Like I said, I played it. My family played it, and you've had opportunities to go into different levels of sports. But I always enjoy going to different communities, whether it's in the city, county, rural areas. Uh, Obviously, you see different kids every 3 or 4 years, and now you're starting to see generations of kids. Their children, and in some cases, I'm starting to see my first third generation athlete, young lady named Destiny Polk at Lafayette High School. Her father, Dwayne, and her grandfather, Dwayne Sr., played a solo in the first year I was out of it. So that's stuff like that that excites me. So the coaches and just seeing young people come through the ranks. I just always been dedicated to watching and uh, talking and writing about the exploits of young people in St. Louis. So that's something that hasn't changed since 1986 when I started this.
Mm. And who would you say probably has been the greatest high school basketball team that you've ever witnessed?
Well, I moved here in 1980, so that's 42 years. Now, before I moved here, I'll give you a couple. Obviously, the Smet teams, the 1979 with Stepanovich and Dressler, they had a 60-game winning streak, and the Sumner team of 1969, which won a state championship. One of the biggest teams, 7 foot, David Brandt, Harry Rogers, All-American, great players. And then when I moved here, I think you're looking at the 88 Vashon team, one of Floyd's most talented teams. The Nash, Malcolm Nash, Montreal, Sean Tunstall, the great Sean Tunstall. I mean, they had about 8 or 9 Division I ball players on that team. Melvin Robinson, that team was monstrous and just very talented, well coached. East St. Louis, Lincoln, the LaFonso Ellis years. In 1987, they had it looked like an NBA frontline. LaFonso Ellis was 6'9". James Harris, who went on and played NFL football, he was like 6'8", and Chris Rogers went to Creighton was 6'7", and uh, Mark Chambers, who's now the coach at East St. Louis High School, won a championship with Hargrove. He was a guard on that team. That was a great team. So the Lincoln team, fantastic. And then kind of more recently, you got to look at the Chaminade team with Jason Tatum, Tyler Cook. That Mikey Lewis won its state championship in 2016. That team had a lot of Division I ball players, and obviously a couple pros. Jason, an All-Star, Tyler Cook playing in the NBA as well. So those are a few. Cardinal Ritter had some great teams with Lauren Woods, Chris Carrawell, Jahidi White. 3 guys that played in the league. My brother was part of the last group in '95. My brother Richard. Fantastic team. So those are a few. And on the girls' side, you got to look at Incarnate Word Academy. They've been tremendous, especially recently, especially in the Fisa Collier years. East St. Louis, Lincoln had some great teams as well. And St. Joseph's Academy, with they four-peated with Christian Focal and Molly Pyrick, had a winning streak of about 71, 72 games. So that just right off the top of my head. Those were a few. There's so many others, but those are a few.
And I know that you brought up earlier that you feel that Jason Tatum is the best athlete or best basketball player to come out of the league. Who would you say in regards to other women? Who would you say is your favorite female athlete?
Basketball player, there's two that stand out. One, people know one already, Nafisa. I mean, she was All American, incarnate, state championship, uh, Connecticut, two national titles, and obviously she was a heck of a player in the WNBA. And shout out to Nafisa and Alex. They had their daughter had a daughter just recently as well. The other one is a young lady people may not know. Her name was Tina Hutchinson from East St. Louis Lincoln High School.
Hmm.
And she was a 6'3". This was in the early 80s, 83 she graduated. She was an incredible, maybe the most talented women's player I've ever seen here in St. Louis. She was a 6'3" athlete who played forward, guard, and center. She was a parade All American and played with the late Ernest Riggins. She went to San Diego State, and as a freshman, she scored averaged 29 points and like 8 assists a game. That's 8 steals a game.
Jesus.
Yes, she scored 600, almost 700 points as a freshman. Led the Aztecs to the NCAA tournament. Handle the ball, shoot the ball. She can shoot the three. It wasn't a 3-pointer like a guard. And she played against USC and Cheryl Miller, who was, the Michael Jordan of women's basketball back then, and the McGee twins, JaVale's mom and her twin sister. She had like 41 against them. They were a national power. She blew her knee out her sophomore year. Had she not done that, she probably would have set records. She scored 700 as a freshman. She would have scored. I mean, it would have been just insane how many points she would have scored. But she was just that gifted, that talented a ball player. So yeah, Tina in the early '80s and the FISA, they really stand out. Kristen Fogel, obviously, who was a volleyball basketball star, and two other young ladies. One, you'll hear her family name being called in the NBA draft in 2 nights from now. Jaden Ivey from
Right.
Purdue will be one of the top 5 picks in the draft. Well, his mother, Neil Ivey,
Incredible
was a
player.
superstar player at Koryezu Academy, a point guard. Fantastic player. Notre Dame won a national championship at Notre Dame right here in St. Louis. And a young lady, one of my favorites, Wellston High School, small school right there, north side. LaShonda Albert was a great player. She was a 6'1" shooting guard who can score at all from anywhere on the court and could, had the moves and handle the ball and could create and was a fantastic player as well.
That's awesome. Just hearing you just describe so many players and teams, it just shows the history, and it's pretty amazing how much knowledge that you have. I'm definitely just taking it back. Like this is really cool. Just hearing the legacy of all these players that you have brought up.
Now your teams was amazing. What was fun about your teams, you named Nick Kern and Lorenzo Gordon and all those guys. The games you guys had with East St. Louis
Right.
at the arena with Darius Miles and Philip Gilbert and that crew. I remember those games were 15, 16,000 people for the Gateway Classic Martin Luther King event. It
Right.
would be Vashon and East St. Louis would play in the in the marquee game, and it would be 15, 16,000 people. And my buddy Marie Scott would be on the microphone as a PA, and that was as electric a high school basketball atmosphere as you could be in, because you had half the arena was blue and white, and the other half was orange and blue,
Right.
and it was unbelievable to see those games when those teams played in the early 2000s, late 1990s, early 2000s.
Yeah, that was my only time that I had the opportunity to play at the arena. When I played there, it was the Sabbath.
Right.
Uh, That was my only time I played there. I'm looking up like, man, this is crazy. Like you said, about 15 some thousand people and playing here at this arena. And that was the year that I faced, well, not me, but when I played on the team and we faced Darius Miles, like you said before, in East St. Louis. So that was definitely an experience. So, I'm real biased about the V. So for those who may be too young to remember, but definitely for the old heads, let's describe a game at the pit.
Oh, first of all, even in the winter, you better wear a short sleeve shirt because it's gonna be hot. Floyd kept Floyd kept turning the heat on, so it was about
Yes.
90. It was about 95 in there, and they had the drum corps going, drum line going, and it was hot, but it was fun. It was hot, literally, but it was hot figuratively because obviously Rashawn was a great basketball team, and they bring some great basketball teams in there. It was just, and it was crowded, loud, and you couldn't hear yourself talk. And you kind of missed that, a little bit, but it was fun. It was fantastic to go into that basketball atmosphere, on Friday night.
It definitely was, and it it just really felt like you was on a big platform. It was kind of like the
Hmm.
mecca of high school basketball if you played at the V.
Absolutely, it was a lot, or O'Fallon Tech, which hosted the regional, or which turned into a district tournament. That's where the PHL usually held its regional/district tournament. All those years through the '60s, '70s, and into the '80s. It was just nothing like it. Great players, coaches, and just great atmosphere to watch. And these guys just elevated their games too because they know, like I said, the whole city was there just to watch you, and it was a great time as well. And that's when I was at college, I made myself down there to watch some of the games, and I started working in the media in the late '80s. It was a good time.
Nice. And before I let you go, just tell us about the relationship you have with your broadcast partner, Mr. Bob Ramsey.
Oh God, we've been together now doing Billiken basketball for 31 years, going on 32. It's been amazing. It's just like we're like brothers. We've gone from talking Billiken basketball on the road now to talking about our respective families, his kids, and my nephews and nieces, what they're doing in sports, and it's just been magical. He's the best in the business. We kind of play off each other. It's just been natural now how we kind of feed off each other when you've been around somebody for so long. You kind of know what each other is thinking, what they're going to say, and we just developed a wonderful chemistry over the years. And we're both unabashed Billiken fans, and we're not afraid to let you know that we are Billiken. But it's funny, we know how to tap our own kids on the head too. Like we started off kind of we were their big brothers because we weren't that old, much older than the players, and now we're kind of their dads and uncles, almost like the dad now. Because like I said, we were in our 50s and 60s, and these are 18, 19-year olds, so we're kind of like
Right.
it's like our uncle and grandchildren out there. But we were no less passionate about the Billikens, and we try to be informative but entertaining at the same time. And like I said, it's been a treat to work with Bob for these 3 decades.
Yeah, it definitely has been a treat to listen to them on the radio for, like you said, 31 years. Definitely amazing. And before we go, did you have any special shout outs?
Oh no! Just shout out to you and the sports platform. This is it's a remarkable show. I've watched a few over the past year. You do a wonderful job, and just bring so many new voices to St. Louis and talk sports, and it's very entertaining to watch. And I'm really honored that you had me out. I'm glad we were able to connect, and glad to be a part of the show. It's been a lot of fun.
I appreciate that. It definitely means a lot coming from you. You know, you've been around the game for so long, the broadcasting and everything. So it's definitely means a lot to me to have you to be on the show and to say those great kind words. And thank you for enduring. You're going through a cold right now, so get well, feel better, and look
Thank you.
to listen to you and seeing you in person at SLU basketball games very soon.
Absolutely. Come on down. If you see me, come down to the table and say hi.
Will do. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for your time to the legendary Earl Austin Jr. You have a great rest of your evening.
You do the same. Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. All right, everyone. That was the great Earl Austin Jr. Hope y'all have enjoyed that interview. I know I have. Shouts out to Coach Stringer for stopping by and showing love. Shouts out to Draco as well. Thanks to my co-host for the evening, Bunny, holding things down along with her daughter, Sanaa. Once again, shouts out to Joe. Shouts out to Stan. Shouts out to T-Bone. Next week, once again, the Man Cave is back. It goes down every last Wednesday of the month. Stan, T-Bone, Sadal, the new Man Cave member, Craig Black, the blackest man on radio. He's making his debut. Coach Brian Turner, Brendan Bovacani. It's going to be a great, great show. And then in 2 weeks, the ladies are back for Ladies Night every first Wednesday of the month. So definitely tune in, show them love. Shouts out to Sharita. She'll be back very soon. To Michaela McGee, Miss Missouri, hold things down. To Annie, to Joe, to Coach Stringer. The ladies are incredible. You don't want to miss out. Once again, give us a follow on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube. Subscribe, click on that bell. To a Hot 365 Radio fam. How about the cutoff right now? So much love to y'all as well. Follow us on Instagram. We everywhere, y'all. The Platform Sports Talk Show. Once again, Hot 365 Radio, where it's always hot. I am your boy Smooth. It has been fun. It has been a pleasure. Once again, get ready for the Man Cave next Wednesday, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. That being said, I am out. Have a great rest of your evening. It's the Platform Sports Talk Show.